Change. And I'm not talking about coins. I'm not talking about change in coins and wallets. I'm talking about the impact that one has in reality, right? Okay. So we have to understand something about the mind, and a lot of us we keep repeating the same things over and over again because, well, okay, I'll tell you why. Let me get there first. So, the reason why a lot of people repeat the same things over and over again is because they have adapted to their own mind, right? Like the mind is very consistent, right? It's so consistent that the more you're fed the same things, the same reoccurring thoughts, the same patterns that your mind thinks of, or the same images, you're going to be so used to it and so comfortable that you're like, okay, it's called adaptation, right? We learned that in science class. Adaptation. So a lot of people are just adapted to their own mind. And so when it comes to changing, it can seem a lot more difficult than what it really is, right? Because that's the thing. Let's think about the mind, right? And about comfortability. The mind also gets as comfortable as you do. Who knew? Humans and their minds love comfortability. Wow. Okay, we got that out the way. Now, what? So whenever you introduce something new to it, which is basically the first step to change, like you're taking a first step up a stairs, you're kind of signaling to your brain that you want to change something. Well, just like humans, just like you, your brain doesn't want to be in discomfort, and it will recognize when you're trying to do something out of its comfort zone. Your brain is just like you. As a matter of fact, it might be you. It might be you. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about your brain and your mind, basically. But see, whenever you take the first step of trying to change something, it actually rewires your brain chemistry, which is why it feels so discomforting. And when I say those words, I know you're probably thinking about like crazy shit. Like you're like, whoa, how is that rewiring my brain chemistry? Well, when I say chemistry, I don't mean like I don't know. I don't mean like some weird caked up scientist who's like in a laboratory like messing with electrons and your protons and neutrons. No. I'm talking about like the actual like how your brain chemically reacts to things, what your brain chemically reacts to. So we're talking about dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, all those things changed when you begin to take that first step up the stairs toward change. Yeah. And sends, that's a big deal to your body. Your body is going to be like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? It's like you were drinking juice and then all of a sudden you start tasting milk. Like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So, when we talk about change, guys, I want to get this. Okay, not only that, but I want to now kind of like re kind of calibrate here. So, change is going to feel discomforting. We just established that and why. Okay. Now, when it comes to change, the mind kind of comes into play too, because when we think about change, not only do we think about coins, but we also think about impact. But when we think about impact, we don't necessarily like understand what impact is unless it's in the context of something huge. So it's like when I say the words, what do you think of when I say the words, you need to change? Something needs to change. I'll tell you what I think of. Well, when I said something needs to change, I thought of something big. I thought of like the world changing. I thought about systems changing. I thought about like systems rewiring itself. Like something's just so catastrophic, right? Um, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like destructive, but it can be for some that could be your image. When I said you need to change, I thought of something like like something that is associated with like rude. Some people feel like if you outwardly or directly say to someone that you need to change, they'll perceive that as you being rude or mean, or they don't take it in a way that's like, oh, I see that you care about me, and this is why you're saying that. They see it as a means of you're telling me what to do, or you're being condescending, or you don't know what you're talking about, or I know myself more than you know me, and da 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 da. They take it in all different types of ways. So that's what I mean, right? That's the mind playing on you, right? That's just kind of like your mind's patterns, right? You're getting to know your mind the more you like actually or become more of like aware like of what your brain visualizes when these words are spoken toward you, right? um so that's one step to identifying how you might want to change, right? Because like, say for example, if you thought of something destructive when it came to change, when I said something needs to change and you thought of something destructive, well, maybe you want to change that. Maybe you want to change the image of how you think about change at a larger scale. Maybe instead of destruction, you can look at it, you can actually change the imagery by by associating it with something that's more, I don't know, transformative, something that's more light. It could be something like something needs to change. Okay, I'm gonna go get a new pair of shoes, or something needs to change. Okay, I'm gonna. Mm, yeah, I don't know. Is this something that I don't know like what's a if you can think of something that's like positive at a wide scale that you can do to change, like take some sort of action toward change at a broad scale. And see, that's another thing, right? About the mind. Like sometimes I think that I think too big, right? Sometimes I think so big that I can't find like that medium. Because I'm pretty sure there's a way you can change at a medium scale. What is a medium scale? Medium scale is like at a business level. If I had to like scale things like from in like three categories or three tiers, tier one would be like individual consumer retailers, people who like walk around and go buy shit. Scale two are the people like corporations, businesses who run the shit that people buy. Scale three would be, government, financial systems, things that literally look over the last two, right? So when we think about medium change, I think about business level, economic level to some degree, or maybe local level, like local economic level. So like maybe to your state. And then obviously at a more, macroeconomic level, that would be like right up here. But there's like different ways you can change, right? It just scales. If you just use that basic kind of tier list, you can find different versions of how you can change. But yeah, that's kind of like the whole point, right? Because now we see that since there are different scales, change and impact happens differently and it means something differently at every single level. So for an individual level, when you try and change, you should really just be focusing how you can change yourself. Like I said before, maybe you want to change the way you think about um to change. Like maybe you want to, if someone says, "Hey, if you feel like someone's criticizing you about who you are, maybe that's one way you want to change. Like I want to stop feeling so angry or so annoyed or offended when someone tells me something about myself. Why? Because I want to know about myself. I like when it shows that people are around me enough and they observe me enough and they know me enough to point something out about me that that I can't see. Imagine, bro. Like that's a great friend. That's a great person. Now there's a difference between someone who's like just like commenting on you, which if it's like there's a difference between commentating and then like critiquing. Like if someone's overly critical too, like, balance, you'll know who's like actually like saying stuff because they care about you, versus someone who's just being like a fucking asshole, you know. Um, but yeah, like that's that's one way to change. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because like I feel like it's just so helpful. It's so helpful to understand like yourself at this level, how you operate at this level. Um, if you want to work toward, not really being on a leash, pretty much, and you want to really put effort into not just creating your reality, but just like owning who you are, you know, kind of like finding your authenticity. Stop kind of like if you want to like stop trying to navigate through the world cluelessly, or you're just like yeah, maybe like you're indecisive like that, like this is like honestly the best way you can do it. Like I'm not saying like I'm not saying like the more you analyze yourself and all that shit, like no, it's not about that. It's about like knowing yourself well enough to where you come as the element of surprise. No one can predict you. No one really knows who you are. They don't know who you're going to be from the next 5 minutes from now. You don't know who I'm going to be in the next word I speak. I mean, maybe. But like the same way that someone's facial expression can change within an instant is the same way that you can be energetically, spiritually, on all types of levels, physically, when you learn yourself on all levels, you know? And it's not like this. I'm not talking about like doing like the spiritual shit. Like that's a social media aspect too. Like that is a social media like like I don't know, like way, or like that's just their way of like speaking about shit. Like the TikToks you see about this shit, maybe some of the YouTube videos, most of them are just like performing shit. Even some podcasts, which I'm not gonna name, but like it's all kind of BS in my opinion. Because like you don't have to sit there and watch a whole hour podcast just to tap into your own potential, just to learn yourself. Like that's insane. You don't have to literally be the viewership for someone and subscribe to someone and like all their shit and turn on notification bells to learn about yourself. You can learn it within a 15-minute video like mine and still be able to like I'm telling you, bro, like the way that we receive information is not by watching endless hours of videos that talk about how to be yourself. Like what? Why are you watching videos on how to be yourself? Doesn't make sense. Even the ones that are like, oh, um, the universe, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. It's just really annoying to me. It's really stupid. It's because like you don't like. Since when did we get to the point where we have to watch other people tell us about how to be ourselves? Why did it get to this point? Like when we can just be ourselves. As a matter of fact, I would argue that you don't even have to be anything. Being yourself doesn't mean you have to be something. It literally just means just like accepting shit and like noticing your patterns through your mind. Like that's literally it, dude. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but yeah, I mean that's all I gotta say. Um, shit. So, yeah, with that being said, like, guys, change is about impact. Okay. So, when you think about how you leave your impact starts with you. Your impact starts within the next move that you make, the next impression that you leave on someone else. That's impact. And if you don't like, well, sometimes you won't necessarily catch what impact you left on someone unless they upright, unless it's in a space with people who are not afraid to tell you what you've done. Sometimes people are very passive and so they won't say anything. But how they act or how they react to you in the next moment that they see you will tell you everything you need to know about how you impacted them just a few moments before. You know what I mean? So you can pay attention to that stuff, you know, because a lot of people they think that you can read their minds. They're not really confrontational, and maybe that's something you want to change. Maybe you're not confrontational either. Maybe it's something you want to change. You know what I mean? Like like I said, that's how you learn yourself. That's how you be yourself. You know, you recognize who you are in certain moments when you can catch it, you know, you're not just over time clocked in analyzing yourself in every single moment. But when those moments arise, the most important ones like that kind of linger, like you recall a moment and how someone like responded to you, whatever. Those are the moments where you're like, okay, let me kind of reassess what happened here. And then you do something different next time. Um, I want to give like one more like kind of like more like a real example. That's like let's say like you're someone who I could give an example for myself. So I had an encounter with someone and um the way I showed up for myself was different this time. It was I changed the way I showed up. The way I showed up was different this time. Um but the words would not flow from my mouth. Like I had an interaction with someone that I was trying to already reconnect with or connect with again, and it was like everything was like telling me that it's okay, but again, like chemically, it's a process where it's like I have to like really catch up to shit. You know, your body just does that. It goes at its own pace, so you really can't like you can't fight that shit. But yeah, I was just like, I had the words in my fucking head, but then I was just thinking about how I'm saying it. I'm just in my head, I'm like, don't say like that. But I'm not even thinking that. It's just like, that's what's happening. I'm just like, in my, like, it's like a subtle, it's a subtle thing where it's like, don't say it like that. It's too bold. Because I have a tendency of being super straightforward and people are just like, what? At least it's happened in the past. So, yeah, and then I just realized like, well, this time I showed up differently, energetically. So it's like this person wouldn't have, it wouldn't have mattered, you know. But you know, that's kind of like a realistic example because it's just like what matters is like when it comes to change, it doesn't have to be all of these components at once. Like when it comes to change, like you have to realize you're not just changing how you talk, you're changing how you energetically show up. You're changing how you mentally process. You're changing how you cognitively understand and comprehend what's going on in front of you. And those are different things that take different amounts of time to process. So when you just focus on one thing, just one thing. You don't have to beat yourself up, but literally just do one thing. The rest is going to literally just follow. Like it's that simple, you know? Like you don't have to do anything grand to prove that you've done some big change. Just start something small. Like small impact is literally the most lasting impact ever. A small tiny step, like one step, think of a stair. 1 foot on the step is the biggest impact you could ever have. Why? Because you've changed your whole entire body position. You went from this to this. Like you literally did a whole different, like that's change. Look, That's your foot on one step. That is change, bro. And it might seem small, but it's like, trust me, it's huge. It's huge. Okay. Oh, I'm done talking. Um, if you enjoyed this one, you're a real one. With that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.